Greetings, I'm Olivia, and at 40 years old, I've got quite the roller coaster of a tale to share. It all revolves around my sorry excuse for an ex. Though legally we're still hitched, I've mentally tagged him as my ex-husband due to his despicable actions towards me and our daughter 4 years back. Back when Kimberly was just 14, we found ourselves in dire straits, struggling to make ends meet thanks to my husband's reckless squandering our finances. The tension simmered in our household as one salary simply couldn't cut it for our family. Despite my efforts to shield her, Kimberly sensed the discord, growing to resent her father for his frivolous spending habits. His secrecy about his expenditures only fueled her suspicions. Then came that fateful June 16th, a cold and rainy day when he up and left for good. We knew he wouldn't return, and with each passing year, our disdain for him deepened. "Mom, I hate him," Kimberly confessed. "I know, sweetheart. I do too, but we'll survive and we'll thrive," I reassured her. And that's exactly what we did. I took the plunge, leaving my job to dive into affiliate marketing and content writing. It was tough, but after a year of relentless effort, I found success. We became homeowners, and I even splurged on a luxurious car for us. Our fortunes continued to rise, and I couldn't be prouder of Kimberly, who followed suit with her own online content career, amassing a substantial following. But life has a way of throwing curveballs, and we were hit hard by the loss of Henry, my ex-father-in-law and Kimberly's grandpa. Despite the rift with my ex, we remained close to his parents, grateful for their support during our toughest times, both financially and emotionally. Their anger and hurt towards Ben's actions were palpable. But Henry, his father, bore the brunt of devastation. While the rest of us resigned to Ben's absence, Henry clung to hope, believing that one day Ben would return with a justification that would absolve him in our eyes. It may sound absurd, but Henry's compassionate nature couldn't fathom anything less. Sadly, Henry's hopes were dashed as he passed away without ever witnessing Ben's return. Though he lived a full life, the absence of communication from his son undoubtedly hastened his demise. Kimberly and I attended the funeral, where we found solace in the embrace of Aria, Kimberly's grandmother, and my ex-mother-in-law. The sorrowful occasion united us in grief, but amidst the somber atmosphere, something inexplicable occurred, something so startling it defied belief. Amidst the pale, grief-stricken faces, I could have sworn I witnessed a ghost. My eyes played tricks on me, conjuring the image of a man long dead to me, my husband. It wasn't an apparition, but rather Ben himself, though he bore the semblance of a ghost. His gaunt figure and drained complexion suggested he carried the weight of grief, perhaps upon hearing of his father's passing. As he approached, shock rippled through the crowd. Kimberly's screams filled the air, her pent-up rage exploding at her father's reappearance. Aria wept even harder, grappling with the unraveling of her family. But I remained frozen, caught between disbelief and the tumult of emotions coursing through me. I felt paralyzed, a torrent of emotions rendering me immobile. "It's evident your presence isn't welcome," Kimberly's words cut through the tension. "You don't just waltz in here like nothing happened. Leave the same way you left 4 years ago. I hate you, and I don't want you here." "Oh my goodness, Ben, how could you have left all those years ago? Your father died of a broken heart, you know." Aria's plea echoed through the cemetery. "Let him stay," I surprised myself with a sudden interjection, breaking the stunned silence that had enveloped us all. After what felt like an eternity, I realized that this wasn't the time or place for such a dramatic outburst of pent-up emotions. Despite my contempt for him, Ben had lost his father and deserved the chance to bid him farewell. I conveyed this sentiment to everyone present, and reluctantly, they agreed to maintain civility, at least for the sake of dear Henry, who was no longer among us. The funeral proceeded, and later, at my home, Ben's presence lingered like an unwelcome specter. "Nice place you got here," he remarked, attempting to break the tension. "Cut the crap, Ben," I retorted sharply. "You don't just waltz in here like nothing happened. If you want to stay, you have to tell us everything, absolutely everything, because I will not let you taint this beautiful home with your negative energy," I asserted firmly. "Olivia has worked too hard for this place. You owe us an explanation, starting with why you look like a zombie." Ben's expression faltered for a moment before he responded. "Actually, scratch that. You can start by stating your business. What exactly do you want?" "Because we all know you're not here because of Grandpa's funeral." "Of course I'm here because of my father's funeral," Ben retorted, his tone defensive. "He was my father, but I'm also here for another thing. I'm here to collect my inheritance. I had to physically restrain Kim before she launched another attack. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, heads turning towards the brewing altercation. Arya managed to calm the onlookers while I guided Ben and Kim to a more secluded area of the house. Don't call me that, Kim snapped as soon as we were out of earshot. I'm not your anything. You forfeited the right to call me that the moment you decided to leave us to fend for ourselves with no explanation or anything. What sort of father does that? I try to forgive you, but I simply can't. Look, Kim, Olivia, I'm sorry about everything. Ben's apology hung heavy in the air, but whether it was sincere or not remained to be seen. I really am, but I desperately need the money. Ben's voice wavered, his desperation palpable. I'm in some hot water right now. Do you think we care about you and your problems? Kim's tone was sharp. By the looks of it, you seem to have gotten yourself in with the wrong crowd. Are you doing drugs? Ben hesitated, and suddenly, his pallor and sickly appearance made sense. Ben, Arya's voice cut through the tension as she joined us. Now that I've sorted everything out, can you please explain what happened? Your father waited for you all this time, holding on to hope that you would return one day with a good enough explanation to dispel our doubts. So please tell me that you come bearing some good news. Tell me something to believe in. I came here to get my inheritance money, Mom, Ben confessed. He's on drugs, Grandma, Kim interjected bitterly. That's why he came here, to get his inheritance money so that he can buy more drugs. No, it's not like that at all, Ben protested. You were right about me hanging with the wrong crowd. Let's just say that I was at the wrong place at the wrong time, and now I owe some people some money. How much are we talking about? Arya's voice trembled with concern. 50,000, Ben admitted reluctantly. What did you do? I couldn't hide my shock. Well, that is great, Kim's sarcasm dripped with bitterness. So, you need to tell me while Mom and I were struggling to keep warm and feed ourselves, you were messing around with shady people. Ha. Well, we won't help you with that. You made your bed, and now you have to lay in it. I know you're upset, sweetie. I tried to intervene, but Kim's anger was relentless. But please, let's just. Are you trying to defend him right now? Kim's accusation hung heavy in the air. He left us, Mom. I know, Kimberly, he didn't just leave you. Okay, he left me too. He left your grandmother as well, and he left Grandpa too. He broke all of our hearts, and we don't ever have to forgive him for doing that. But clearly, he's learned his lesson, right? I mean, just look at him. It's so crazy how I was defending him so wholeheartedly back then, when in the end, it was because of me that he eventually did what he did. Shortly after the funeral was finalized, Ben was staying in a motel, and Arya and I, mostly Arya, would visit him to see if he needed anything. Kim refused the idea of even seeing his face again. We just wanted to finalize his inheritance so that he could be on his merry way. Kim and I decided that we didn't want much to do with him, but Arya, seeing as she was his mother, obviously wanted to try and rekindle something. As the weeks went by and the family lawyers did their best to authenticate Henry's will and determine inheritance values, Arya brought Ben to the house so that she could, at the very least, promote a civil environment amongst us all. As much as the bitterness and hatred weren't going to do us any good, it was going to take a long time for us to be anywhere near that. Kim would sometimes come just to sit and not speak, but she mostly opted out of the whole thing. Finally, the lawyers informed us of the inheritance amounts that each person would receive, and by some lucky stroke of fate, it turned out that the inheritance money that Ben would receive amounted to $50,000. Kim was infuriated. She didn't find it fair that the person who robbed her of her happiness for many, many years gets to be rewarded out of the blue. As much as she was an adult, she was still my baby, and I could understand her frustrations. But unfortunately, it wasn't up to her to decide whether he would get the money or not. Arya and I were seemingly nonchalant about the findings, and honestly, I just wanted this whole process to be done with so that I could go back to living my good life. As Ben assimilated to this lifestyle, it appeared his demeanor changed. He went from shy, timid, and remorseful to slightly arrogant and cocky, especially upon hearing he would receive exactly what he came for. I noticed this behavioral shift but opted not to say anything, chalking it up to the drugs he was doing. It was so sad to see a man who used to be so respectable end up like this. I just couldn't understand. A few more weeks went by, and Arya told me, Ben's inheritance money is ready to be collected. He doesn't know about it yet, but I wanted to inform you beforehand. I know it's a terrible thing to give such a large amount of money to an addict. I don't even want to think about what he'd do. I'm so sorry, my child, but I just don't think I can handle giving him the money just to see him disappear again. It would shatter that sliver of hope I have left for him. I can't be the one to give it to him. Please, can you do it? Of course, Aria. I can't imagine how hard this has been on you. I reassured her. It takes a different type of strength as a mother to witness such an awful thing happen to your baby. You've been strong for too long, Ma. It's time for you to rest. Please, don't worry. I'll handle everything. Although I took on the task of handing Ben the money, I too needed some time to collect myself and find peace with whatever outcome lay ahead. Ironically enough, I sought solace in the attic, surrounded by relics of my old life. Despite the painful memories they once held, these artifacts now served as reminders of how far I'd come. As I sat amidst the old and dusty remnants of our past, memories flooded back. The plastic tea set, a bargain from a yard sale during our toughest times when proper dishes and cutlery were beyond our reach. The half-dead heater, its unreliable warmth forcing Kim and me to huddle together for comfort, though it was never enough. My gaze fell upon Ben's old chest, filled with what I assumed to be his work documents. I'd always been hesitant to explore its contents, fearing the truth of how much money had been drained from our household to sustain his other, seemingly more important, lifestyle. But on this day, the day I was meant to hand him the inheritance money, fear gave way to curiosity. I broke open the worn chest to uncover a trove of bank statements and checkbooks, each one detailing the extent of Ben's financial recklessness. With a sinking feeling, I realized the account recipient was named Maria. I didn't know of a Maria, but as I began to dig deeper, I found out who exactly she was, and it made my heart drop. Deep within the chest was a letter, handwritten and addressed to Ben. It read, "Dear Ben, when are we going to stop sneaking around like this? I'm getting bored and tired of your inability to kick your wife and kid to the curb like you said you would. You seem to enjoy spending months with me, taking all of my drugs, and then going back to your family even though you clearly hate them. If you don't tell them the truth, I will get Manuel involved. You already owe him tons of money from all the drugs you do with him for free. And this is how you want to treat me? I'm giving you 24 hours to get this done. Otherwise, you'll be in big trouble. Maybe I'll tell your wife all about me and our affair, as well as all the expensive bags and shoes you buy me. Or maybe I'll tell Manuel to get his goons to sort you out. Maybe I'll do both. Who knows? All of this can be avoided if you just do what we agreed upon. Remember, 24 hours or your entire life is going to come crashing down. Tick, tick, babe. Shale, Maria." Reading this letter almost made my heart explode in my chest. So Ben was having an affair before he left, and he had spent the money on his mistress. The thought made me want to vomit. This man had prioritized his party animal lifestyle, while his wife and kid were at home starving. Completely unforgivable and utterly disgusting. This was what I had been waiting for, the explanation for all of his horrendous behavior. It simply boiled down to selfish self-indulgence. The rage and bitterness that I had harbored for so long began to boil within me at this point. I was moving on autopilot, fueled by a mixture of anger and disbelief. Gathering everything from the chest, I stormed to the dingy motel where Ben was living. Bursting through the door, I found Ben amidst a pile of drugs on the bed. "You are completely unbelievable. You're doing drugs just as I was about to give you the money." "What? You have the money?" "That's great. Give it to me," Ben retorted, his voice laced with indifference. "You are pathetic, and you make me sick." "Yeah, well, I don't care. Give me the money, Olivia." I flung the papers at him, holding onto the letter I had discovered just moments ago while he was sifting through the bank statements he conveniently hid from me. As I began to read the letter out loud, he froze. If he didn't look sickly and pale before, he looked emaciated now. "You got this letter on June 15th, right? The day before you just up and left," I accused. "I'm gonna explain," Ben stammered, but I cut him off sharply. No, Ben, you can't explain. The time for explaining is over. You're 4 years too late." "I was sick, Olivia. I still am sick." As you can see, he attempted to defend himself. "Stop all the excuses, Ben. You think I wasn't tired? You think I didn't want relief anywhere I could find it? We all make choices, Ben. You're a grown man, damn it. I. Ben's voice faltered as he struggled to find his words. You left us because you were having an affair, I accused. It wasn't like that, he protested weakly. Then what was it like? I demanded. I never loved you. I never wanted that life. I never wanted to be with you. I just got with you and had the kids so that mom and dad could get off my back. I never wanted responsibility, and frankly, I don't care enough to rekindle or mend anything between us. Not you, not Kimberly, and not even my mother. I know it sounds awful to say, but it's the truth. Take it or leave it. Now, give me my money. I can't say I'm surprised actually. You've always been the evil villain to me, and that's all you ever were. Even now, as I look at you, you look like some demon from a comic book. You're disgusting. Olivia, I really don't care what you think about me. Just give me my money. You might not care what I think. You might not even care about what your mother and daughter think as well, but it appears as though a certain Maria and Manuel have a hold on you, even if it's just a little bit. He froze once more. Bingo. I take it that you managed to escape them. Right now, you're running with a new crew, and because you're a pathetic mess, you managed to mess up those relations also. He briefly nodded. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave this place immediately without the money. You won't get a single dime of this inheritance money. Consider this money reparations for Kimberly and me. You owe us that much at least. What? Are you crazy? Tom's gonna kill me if I come back without his money. That's not my problem. You should have thought about that before engaging with this stuff. And what if I refuse? Well, then I believe that someone with a very large following on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube might just accidentally leak some very private information about you. You know, the type of information that can reach anybody, including people named Manuel and Maria. Additionally, somebody else with a very successful blog and website can write an article further exposing you to absolutely anybody with an internet connection. All right, I hear you loud and clear. Yeah, I'm giving you 24 hours to get all of your things and get out of here. Get out of this city. Hell, get out of this state. Your presence isn't welcome here. You don't need to say goodbye to anybody. I'm going to tell Aria and Kimberly everything as if their hearts haven't been broken enough. What a shame indeed. I don't even know what to say. How about show good luck? Let's hope your drug buddies don't rough you up too badly. Although now that I think about it, I don't care what they do to you. You've already been dead to me for 4 years now. He left town the next day. Thankfully, none of us has seen him since. I am just very content in the fact that all three of us have some closure on where Ben had gone and why.